Good morning. Welcome to our annual BCSF onko service. Onko is a memorial service for Shinran Shonin, who is the founder of the Jodo Shinshu, our Pure Land tradition. The Japanese characters ho'on means return of gratitude, and ko means to clarify the meaning. Today we commemorate the anniversary of Shinran Shonin's passing into the Pure Land, which occurred on January 16th, 1262. Shinran was born during the Kamakura era in Japan, and it was a time of severe disunity and violence. And Shinran sought a way for all beings to attain perfect peace and equality. Shinran interpreted Buddhism on the level of the commoner. He lived the life of an ordinary person himself, the same as that as farmers and fishermen. Shinran married and had children. He lived a Nembutsu life with his family and his children. He opened up the path of Buddhism to the everyday person. If Shinran had not clarified the teachings of the primal vow, our temple and our Sangha would not be here today. So for this, we express our deepest appreciation for having encountered Shinran's teachings. And we reconfirm our true and trusting minds to continue to listen to and live his teachings each day. We will begin this morning's service with taking refuge in the three treasures, which will be displayed on your screen. Hard is it to be born into human life, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One, now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in the life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, 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 Namanda. And now we will have our Sutra chanting, which will be Sambujo, and followed by Juseige. And both of those will be displayed on your screen. As we joyfully offer flowers of welcome. Respectfully call upon Tathagata Shakyamuni to enter this temple as we joyfully offer flowers of welcome. Joy. We respectfully call upon the Tathagata of the 10 directions to enter this temple as we joyfully offer flowers of welcome. With a profound sense of gratitude, we gather this morning for the Buddhist Church of San Francisco's annual onko service to observe the memorial of our founder, Shinran Shoni, and to listen and to savor the essence of the Nembutsu. We are deeply thankful to Shinran and to his predecessors who awakened him to the boundless compassion. May we join him in hearing the timeless call of reassurance that continues to come from the world of immeasurable light and life in the form of the name that calls. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida, Namo Amida, Juseige, the 3 sacred vows which beautifully express Bodhisattva Dharmakara's determination to work tirelessly for the benefit of all beings. Gagon Josegan Nishimujodo Shigan Humanzo Sefujo Shoga Ga-omuryoko Uidai Seishu Usai Shobingu Sefujo Shoga Gashijo Bundo Myosho Chojipo Kukyomi Shomon Sefujo Shoga Ryakujin Shonen Joeshu Bongyo Shigumu-jodo Isho Teninshi Jinriki Endaigo Ushomu Saido Shoujo Sankumyo Kosai Shuyakunan Kaihichi Egen Meshi Komoan Esoku Shoakudo Sudan Zen Shumon Koso Jomanzo Iorojipo Nichigan Shujuki Tenkon Bugen Ishukai Mozo Koseku Dokuo Jodai Shuchu Seppo Shishiku Kuyo Isai But Kusoku Shutokumon Gane Shinjoman Tokui Sangayo Nyobun Mugechi Sudan Mihusho Gan For this morning's Dharma reflection, the BCSF Ministerial Team decided to share their favorite wasans or writings of Shinran. And we kind of had a joke that we were afraid that everyone would choose what is known as Ondokusan, which is really one of our favorites. But there are so many. Shinran was so prolific as a writer. So there are really quite a few wonderful and penetrating verses that Shinran has written. So the order of speakers this morning will be alphabeticalized by last name. And so we'll begin with our supervising minister, Reverend Henry Adams, followed by Leo Balambao Sensei, Elaine Donlin Sensei, myself, Leo Joslin Sensei, Camille Pading Sensei, and Reverend David Pading Sensei.
Namam Davits, 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 Namam Davits. Obstructions of karmic evil turn into virtues. It is like the relation of ice and water. The more the ice, the more the water. The more the obstructions, the more the virtues. Namam Davits, Namam Davits, Namam Davits. Hello. For my onko reflection this year, I wanted to share some appreciations for this hymn that Shinran Shonin composed in his Hymns on the Pure Land Masters, and this one inspired by the teachings of Tanluan. And it talks about how the light of the Buddha's wisdom shining into our hearts melts the ice of our greed, anger, and ignorance into the water of virtues. Virtues like generosity, compassion, and wisdom. And this wasan particularly resonates in my heart these days because I, a few weeks ago, was able to travel back to my home state of Minnesota and to spend some time with my family in the backyard where I grew up playing. And when we got there, it was covered in snow and ice. And then on about the third day we were there, it warmed up into the 40s. And all that snow and ice just melted away and became water. Lots of water. The backyard got really muddy. And in that mud, we started to see grass. Leaves of grass just popping right up out of the ground, and I was reminded how that light melts the ice into life-giving water, just as the light of the Buddha's wisdom melts the ice of our greed, anger, and ignorance into the life-giving virtues of generosity, compassion, and wisdom. So if I think about my greed is about all that I have that I can keep, that I want to keep and protect. I want to keep my stuff, I want to keep my time, I want to keep my attention, all, to me and my agenda. But if the light of the Buddha's wisdom, when that shines into my heart, then my perspective changes and I began to see all that I have, which I can share with others. I can share the things that I have, I can share my time, I can share my attention to bring joy and happiness to the lives of others. Likewise with anger. Anger to me is about how I feel about what you do, right? If you do something that I don't like, it makes me mad. If you don't do something that I expect you to do, it makes me mad. But when the light of the Buddha's wisdom shines in, it melts that ice and it becomes compassion. My perspective changes from what you do to how you are. How are you doing? Are you sad? Are you happy? Do you need something? And that concern, then that changes my way of living, changes our lives, right? With delusion, right? Delusion to me is about what I know. I know that it's like this. Well, sometimes it's not the way that I think I know it is, right? And when the light of the Buddha's wisdom shines in, that ice of I know, that ice of delusion becomes curiosity, becomes I'd like to know. I'd like to understand more. I recognize what I don't know, and I'd like to appreciate more about you, about this world around me. And so, in this way, the ice of my greed, anger, and ignorance, through the wisdom of the Buddha, shared by Shinran Shonin, which we celebrate at this honko, it melts into these virtues of generosity, compassion, and wisdom. So with this appreciation, I'll conclude my talk, and I invite you to join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Namo.
Hello, everyone, and happy honko. Please join me in Gassho. Even the good person attains birth in the Pure Land. How much more so the evil person? Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda Butsu. Usually when I'm asked to share a favorite quote or saying, I tend to gravitate towards the inspirational or uplifting phrases. However, when the minister's assistants were asked to pick a favorite Shinran quote, this particular one from the 3rd chapter of the Tanisho came immediately to mind. Not because it makes me feel good, but because it challenges me. At any point in time, I can believe myself to be on either side of this equation. In a society that emphasizes rewards and punishment, this quote appears diametrically opposed to such notions and our conventional ideas regarding the purpose of religious practice. But Shinran goes on to say in the same chapter that the primal vows intention is to effect the enlightenment of the evil person, who then naturally turns towards wisdom and compassion and attains birth in the Pure Land. This reminds me as a Buddhist who aspires to become a Buddha, to look towards Amida as a role model and not judge others' karmic state, even my own, but respond with loving kindness, wisdom, and compassion. In these trying times, that can be a challenge. But even when I fail, I know I'm the object of Amida's compassion. Even the good person attains birth in the Pure Land. How much more so the evil person? Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda Butsu.
Good morning. Happy Ho'onko. I would like to share a wasan from Shinran's Jodo Wasan, Hymns of the Pure Land. And in it, Shinran ascribes Amida Buddha the name Music of Purity. Wasan number 39. The delicate, wondrous sounds of jewel trees in the jewel forest produce natural music, serene and harmonious, unexcelled in subtlety, grace, and elegance. So take refuge in Amida, the music of purity. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda. I love this wasan for a couple of reasons. First, it reminds me that the infinite pervades all of reality. The boundless light of Amida seeks to reach us in every conceivable way. The sound of Dharma is everywhere. In nature, it's the creaking branches of the eucalyptus trees I park under. It's the rain tapping against my house gutters. It's the birds chirping outside my window in the morning. It's the sound of the raccoons who live in my neighbor's eaves as they knock over flower pots while playfully wrestling on my neighbor's deck. Or the strange, chilling sounds they make when they encounter a cat during their evening backyard explorations. It's the cacophony of crickets at my mom's place up north when the sun goes down. The sound of Dharma is everywhere, and it invites me to be present to an ever-changing world. And it reminds me that I am part of a profoundly interconnected life. On a more literal level, I appreciate this wasan because I have always had a deep relationship with music from a very young age. I love how a song or a piece of music can take me outside of myself, allowing me to encounter and experience something so much greater than myself, and yet is a part of me. How music can affect a transcendence that is physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. For me, the Nembutsu is the natural outcome of my experience in hearing and encountering the Dharma. Hearing the name and responding by saying the name is to open our hearts and share in great compassion with all beings. So take refuge in Amida, the music of purity. The delicate, wondrous sounds of jewel trees in the jewel forests produce natural music, serene and harmonious, unexcelled in subtlety, grace, and elegance. So take refuge in Amida, the music of purity. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda.
Hello, I'm Leo Jocelyn, and I'd like to wish everyone a happy Ho'onko. I'm very grateful for Shinran Shonin and for how he taught the Dharma in ways that ordinary persons such as myself can understand. One of my favorite quotations from Shinran is found in notes on the inscriptions on sacred scrolls. This was one of his shorter works, and these notes explain the inscriptions that were on scrolls that hung in Jodo Shinshu altars way back in those days. The inscriptions were in Chinese, so what Shinran was doing, he was explaining what they meant and doing so in easy to understand language. And the notes can be quite profound. For example, he writes, although with eyes of blind passions it is impossible to see the light, the blessing of great love and compassion never wearies. So I like this note because it describes who we are as sentient beings, that we're blind, we cannot see the light, yet great love and great compassion are always there. They're always at work. But there's another note from the same inscription that's my favorite. Shinran writes, realize that great love and compassion tirelessly and constantly protect this self. This is the blessing of being grasped, never to be abandoned. I personally find this passage to be very comforting, especially with the condition of the world nowadays. We've been in the midst of a global pandemic. We've seen political strife, violence, racism, the list goes on and on. But we're taken care of. As stated by Shinran, great love and compassion tirelessly and constantly protect this self. So no matter what comes our way, we can rest in the knowledge that we're grasped by Amida, never to be let go. We can say the Nembutsu in gratitude, knowing that we're taken care of. And with this, we have the strength to support each other as we move through the world. And we cannot help but want to share the Dharma and compassion with others. This quotation reminds us that we have truly been the objects of great compassion. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Everyone, please, Gassho. Like cherry blossoms are the hearts that tomorrow think they might. For who can tell but that there may be a tempest in the night? Namandabuts, 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 namandabuts. Happy New Year. Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. Happy Honko, happy Martin Luther King Day. In Dharma school, we often discuss this poem, which was written by young Shinran Shonin when he was only 9 years old in the year 1181. Young Shinran wrote this poem to convince Jien-sama, the master of the Tendai school, to ordain him as a Tendai priest. Young Shinran, who was then known by his childhood name, Matsu Wakamoto, had already endured much hardship in his young life. Early on in Shinran's life, his mother died and his father was forced into exile. Shinran lived during the late Heian and early Kamakura period. It was a time of turmoil, continuous warfare, famine, and pandemics. Thousands of people died from disease and starvation. And so, when young Shinran arrived at the temple, the sun was already setting, and the master said, "I will wait until morning to ordain you." Young Shinran then composed his poem and persuaded the master otherwise. Like cherry blossoms are the hearts that tomorrow think they might, for who can tell but that there may be a tempest in the night. The master was so impressed, he ordained young Shinran on the spot. Today, we also feel a sense of chaos, urgency, and anxiety. We have endured nearly 2 years of a global pandemic with no immediate end in sight. As we sit here today, the Omicron variant is spiking. Hospitals are experiencing staffing shortages, and some areas are banning large gatherings. There is a pervasive sense of fear, frustration, and mistrust in our communities. I think that young Shinran's poem is telling us that despite our challenges, this is a time for appreciating every moment of every day. We can never guess what tomorrow may bring. We do know that time is limited and precious. What I take away from young Shinran's poem is that what matters most in the end are the choices we make today, right now, to give our lives meaning and purpose, especially during difficult times. What I take away is that we should make the choices to do the things we want to do, need to do, and aspire to do, to give our lives that sense of meaning and purpose. I take away that we should love those in our lives as much as we can. Don't leave things unsaid or wait for tomorrow to show love or accept the love of others. Let love and compassion be the center of how we treat one another. And finally, I take away from young Shinran's words is that we should find gratitude and peace in the Nembutsu, knowing that no matter what we may face tomorrow, we still have today. We still have this moment, which is perfect and precious. Everyone, please Gassho. Like cherry blossoms are the hearts that sometimes think they might, for who can tell but that there may be a tempest in the night. Namandabats, 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 namandabats.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Honko. I'd like to share my Honko reflection with you from the Hymns of the Pure Land, Collected Works, page 338. When we take refuge in the Pure Land of Amida, we take refuge in all the Buddhas to praise the one Buddha Amida with the mind that is single is to praise all the unhindered ones. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Sometimes when I read Shinran, I say, what? When we take refuge in the Pure Land of Amida, we take refuge in all the Buddhas. Okay, I get it. To praise the one Buddha Amida with the mind that is single is to praise all the unhindered ones. Okay, I got that too. The one is the many and the many is the one. Sometimes I think I understand Shinran because the many is also the one and the one is the many. And sometimes Shinran's meaning totally escapes me. You see, understanding is not understanding, and not understanding is understanding. They are the same. Get it? So if you're confused, good. Because when you realize you're confused, you're closest to understanding. And when you cannot stand another day of COVID, poof, the day is gone. Get it? Okay. The world is multiple, plural. Don't try to get your arms around it. It's way too big. So let's do this again. When we take refuge in the Pure Land of Amida, we take refuge in all the Buddhas. When we praise the one Buddha Amida with the mind that is single, is to praise all the unhindered ones. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Happy onko, or as we say in my house sometimes, Merry Christbudamus. What? Get it? Okay. Have a really good day, everyone.
So those were the reflections for today's onko service. Shinran has written so much, and so it's just wonderful for me to hear others' perspectives and their favorite pieces. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. This morning's Gatha, Ondokusan, words were written by our founder Shinran, and the words are actually quite beautiful. And I didn't write those down, but I'd really like to share those with you before we proceed. Shout it out if you folks know what page it's on. I will find it. Okay, here we go. So, as Shinran wrote, the debt of gratitude I owe to Amida's great compassion, I will proclaim until my life disintegrates into dust. The debt of gratitude I owe to my Dharma teachers, I will express until my bodily form is finally shattered. So I love all the different variations of Ondokusan because regardless of the container or the form, the essence, the truth of what Shinran wrote is the same. Our time is limited, as Camille Sensei said. Our Shin teachings are really about having a reverence for the truth of the Buddha Dharma and Shinran's universal vision of Buddhism's liberating power for all people. Ondokusan expresses the deep gratitude to our teachers who have shared this truth and wisdom and compassion with us all. So this morning's unique version is arranged by Reverend Yuki Sugahara. He's from the super residing minister at the Oregon Buddhist Temple. And it's sung by Reverend Yuki and Ui, And Reverend Yuki also plays the guitar and bass in this version. Ondokusan. For our closing reflection, I would like to read the Jodo Shinshu Creed. Well, you know, as I said at the opening, we are here because of Shinran Shonin. And when he was sharing the Nambutsu, he never thought he was creating a religion or a new sect. He always said he was doing his teacher's work, Honen's. He was always teaching what Honen had taught him. And so I think today it's, for me, it's helpful to hear what is the guiding light behind being Jodo Shinshu. The Jodo Shinshu Creed. I put my trust in the vow of Amida Buddha, reciting Namo Amida Butsu. Let us live life to the utmost with strength and joy. I look to the light of Amida Buddha, constantly reflecting upon myself. Let us strive to live a life of gratitude. I shall follow the teachings of Amida Buddha. Awakening to the right path, let us share the true Dharma with others. I rejoice in the compassion of Amida. Mutually responding and aiding each other, let us endeavor to work for the good of all. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Okay. Excuse me. So now we will have the oath of office. And so I will ask for those that have, actually we didn't do this last year also, so those who were elected to one of our boards, either temple board, affiliate board, I ask you to put your hands in Gassho, and let me grab my book real quick. So for this morning's installation of officers, you, the newly elected officers of the BCSF board of elected officials. In accepting office, take upon yourself certain responsibilities. Are you ready to sacrifice some of your personal time for the common good? Are you determined to do your part during your term of office to promote and cultivate the appreciation of Jodo Shinshu Buddhist teachings, to share the Buddha Dharma in association with the goals of your organization, and to faithfully fulfill the duties of your individual offices to the best of your ability? If you take these responsibilities upon your shoulders, please put your hands in Gassho, and you will repeat or you will state your affirmation at the end with the Nembutsu. I take office in your respective office, realizing my responsibilities and determined to do all in my power to remember at all times the teaching of the Buddha. If you affirm this, please say, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda. May the light of wisdom and compassion guide you and support you through your services on your board. Congratulations, and thank you for your service. And if we were here in the temple, we'd all be applauding for you. Thank you. Okay. Appreciations. I have a bunch of them, so sit tight. First off is our safety update. Not yet, Kevin, on that. Oh, okay, thank you. First is our safety update. As many of you, I apologize to the people that had signed up for the onko in-person services. I made sure I called everyone. The safety committee, because of the increase in due to the Omicron of the COVID infection rates and the hospitalization rate in San Francisco, we thought it was prudent to cancel in-person services for the rest of January. So I apologize for that. We put our big screen back in front of the camera or right behind the camera so I can see all of you, which is nice. But I hope in February we're able to resume in-person services. This is just one of those things where we have to go with the flow and follow the science and just pay attention to what is happening in our community. So I'm hoping February we can return back, but definitely through the remainder of January, we will be closed to in-person services and continue our live streaming. Bento is today. For those who ordered their bentos, you can pick it up at the BCSF garage from 12 to 1:30 today. Thirdly, we have a BCSF board meeting today. It starts at 2. They're going to have closed sessions first, so I think it'll be probably, 2:33 by the time it actually starts for open session. Pardon? So if you're interested in attending, send an email to me, to Kevin, or to any of the board members, and they'll send you the Zoom link. Fourth, BCSF Winter Shelter. So I have been announcing this, and there has been a change. We will still prepare the meal for Winter Shelter on January 30th for the San Francisco Winter Shelter community at Trinity Church. So Sunday around 11:30 after service, we'll meet in the downstairs kitchen. We're going to be making 2 days worth of meals. Because of social distancing and a bunch of other issues that have come up, they will, there's about a third of the folks that we normally serve that will be at this particular shelter, because they do need to observe social distancing and all kinds of things. So I still need help for Sunday, the 30th. If anyone can lend their support, you must be fully vaxxed and masked. Please email me. The other 2 days, the Monday and Tuesday, actually taking the meals to the shelter and serving, we're not going to be able to do. So what's going to happen on those 2 days, I will warm up, cook whatever we made on Sunday. I'll warm it up in our kitchens downstairs, and then Leo and I will take it to the shelter, drop it off, and the staff will serve them. And this is largely because of the Omicron. Last year we couldn't even cook or serve, so at least we get to cook 2 nice home-cooked meals. So we're only looking for volunteers now for January 30th, 11:30, downstairs kitchen. Please email me if you can help out. That would be really awesome. And then lastly, tomorrow is Martin Luther King. Well, we normally had the march, and the march was ongoing until about a week ago when they canceled it because of the surge in infection rates. So instead, they're going to have the Martin Luther King Interfaith Service at 11 a.m. They're going to have Nancy Pelosi will be speaking, the Honorable London Breed will be speaking, and our very own Camille Pating Sensei will be speaking. She will be representing the Buddhist tradition. So Kevin is putting that up. Kevin, could you put, and also the link, thank you, Kevin. Kevin put the link in the chat. So if you'd like to attend this MLK Interfaith Service, there's the link right there. You can register. They just ask for your name and email, and then they'll send you the link. So yeah, the theme is toward justice, and I'm looking forward to attending that virtually. So that is it. A lot of announcements this morning. I thank you for joining us for our annual onko memorial service in memory of our founder, Shinran Shonin. I thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Namanda. Namada. I also want to thank Kevin Yoza. Couldn't do this without him. Kevin, thank you so much for all your help today. And thank you for joining in. Thank you.